Hello everybody, my name is Carlos Anguiano. I am a game developer, photographer, and watch enthusiast, and today I'm going to be unboxing and giving you my first impressions on the Helm Miyako. They've nicely labeled the box top. Okay. So here we go. I actually really like the shipping package. It's quite nice. It's pretty cool that you can actually see that the box for the watch is actually really nicely centered on the shipping box. That's I've never really seen that before, to be honest, so that's pretty cool. All right, here we go. So here's the actual watch box. A little bit up, but still looking pretty good. This thing really doesn't want to go. Here we go. Alright, so right off the bat, my first impression is the box is kind of reminiscent to the Seiko boxes, which I'm not like super fan of. For the most part, it's definitely a little bit higher quality. It has a little bit more texture. It just seems a little bit more firm. We have a little envelope here. I'm not going to open this thing up, to be honest. There's probably like manual and warranty information there and stuff that like, honestly, like who really cares? We got a little Helm business card, kind of personalized. Carlos, thanks for choosing Helm Watch. We hope you enjoy the Miyako and it serves you well. Wear it in good health. All the best, Helm. My understanding is that the company is an American company out of North Carolina, but in my opinion, they are like Chinese watches. However, they're very high quality Chinese watches. And as you guys might already know, they actually use Japanese movements, whether it's NH35. So in the case of the Miyako, the Miura 9015, which is a high beat movement. So that's going to be really exciting. So one of the things that comes in the case is this metal bracelet. The metal bracelet, I'm going to have to put it on the watch to really have an opinion on it. So, you know, until I kind of size it and put it on, it's going to be kind of hard to tell. Woo, I kind of almost don't want to look at it. There's a little cleaning cloth covering the watch, so I still haven't actually seen the watch. But here we go. All right. Yeah, man, this is pretty nice. You know, I have a big wrist, so usually I go for bigger watches. In this case, today I'm wearing the Tissot Heritage 1973. This is like a 43 or 44 millimeter case, so big watch. Is, you know, really chunky watch. So in comparison, I think that the Miyako is only maybe a little bit over 41 millimeters. I don't remember. Usually for me, the watches have to at least be over 40. Yeah, you know what? This is a really good looking watch. Ooh. All right, let me take some of these stickers off. I haven't wound it yet, but immediately just from shaking it a little bit, it's actually the second hand's already going, so that's like super awesome. Oof, nice, real nice pop on the crown. Like the crown is, one's okay, not too bad, not too shabby. The date's pretty smooth. This is my first Miyota high beat movement, so I can't say that I've had a lot of experience with these ones. No pop on the date. Like that's really weird. I mean, it's almost like I don't really feel any snapping of the date wheel. So that's kind of a different feeling. My only complaint with the date, like, it's too small. Like my eyes are not that great. So yeah, and setting the time's pretty nice. You know, man, this Miyota movement definitely feels different. I don't know, like it feels lighter, if that makes any sense. It feels a lot lighter than the NH35 and the Sellita 2824 clones. Take a little break from the Tissot real quick. It's the needle's actually pretty nice, I have to admit. It's yeah, you know, a little smaller than I thought it would be, but this is a good looking watch. Ooh, you know, here's the thing. Yes, okay. Oof, yeah, this is a nice freaking bezel action. Oh my god, it is so. This is like the best bezel I own. This bezel's a fucking monster, man. Like, it is. Oh, can you guys hear that? Just. You guys want some watch MSLR, or what's it called? MSR? Whatever. And man, that crunch, my goodness. I mean, it is snap, crackle, and pop. It is. This is my favorite part. This just the bezel action. It's like I'm not even really paying attention to the watch. Like the watch is a great watch. It's a good looking watch. This bezel action is the best bezel action I've had. Honestly, the finish, I'm not like super impressed with the finish firsthand. The dial is nice. I like the wave pattern. I was a little concerned that the wave pattern was gonna be a little too cheesy, but to be honest, like it's not as strong as I thought it could be. Like the light sort of has to hit it in a very specific way for the pattern to be visible. But yeah, it's a good looking dial. I like the dial. You know, the top of the watch has like this satin finish. Like it's definitely brushed, but it's not like a thick brushing. It's very satiny. You guys will be able to see it on the macro shots, and it definitely does seem to have clean lines that transition between like the sort of satin top to like the polished sides. For the most part, like I feel like it's an okay finish. Like the finish is good. Like the finish is good. However, compared to other watches, like it's not a watch that I pick up and I say like this finish is so good. Like it's just, that's not the first feeling that I get out of it. All right, so how does the Helm Miyako compare to other similar watches in the price point? So I think that the first watch that I would compare the Helm Miyako to would be something like the Glycine Combat Sub. So I do happen to have a Glycine Combat Sub in my collection, and I think that these watches are pretty comparable price-wise. They're kind of in the same range. You can find the Glycine Combat Sub with just a NATO strap for around $300. Now, since then I've bought some bracelets and also modified it pretty heavily. So altogether, I would say that this Glycine with all its modifications is probably about $400, which is what you pay for the Miyako. But anyways, I'll put some pictures so you guys can see what the watch looks with all the modifications, but the original dial, and then you can kind of compare it to something like the Miyako. But the thing that I find interesting about these two watches is that, as I said, for Swiss, people always say that the Glycine Combat Sub is like the best bang for the buck. However, if you're willing to overlook the Swissness and you're willing to invest in a Chinese watch with a Japanese movement, then I think that you get something much nicer, which is something like this Miyako. But I mean, you get a much better dial, you get a much better bezel insert, you get a diver that's actually ISO certified. So it's like a real diver, unlike the Glycine that is basically just, it's just water resistant. Nothing against them, but they're not doing the testing, right? And you still get that beautiful 4 Hz movement on the high beat Miyota. So that's pretty amazing in my opinion. If you're debating between a Helm and a Glycine Combat Sub, like I would definitely say, yeah, I think Miyako takes it. Miyako's definitely better than the Combat Sub. This is a freaking awesome watch. Like, I mean, it's definitely badass. Good looking, simple watch. Just awesome. I don't know if you guys want to be able to see the time properly. Am I a cool guy? Do I look totally cool doing this? Super happy with these first impressions. I'm gonna try to get some macros and we're gonna put this on the time grapher and then I'll get back to you. Well, it's been about 24 hours since I recorded the first part of this video that you just watched, and since then I had the opportunity of sizing the bracelet for the Miyako and actually putting it on and wearing it for about a day to get an idea what the wearing experience is like. So one really interesting thing about the bracelet is that in my opinion, unfortunately, the bracelet is kind of like the weakest part of the Miyako. Don't get me wrong, for the price point, it's a pretty great bracelet. I have to admit that overall, it doesn't have a lot of rattle, which is really great. Like, it's just pretty solid in this sense. It also has a pretty nice milled clasp, which I like. And instead of having pins or pins and colors, it actually has screws, which is nice, as that means that it's very easy to change pins. However, there's definitely some pretty serious downsides to the bracelet, starting with the end links. One of the things that you look at when you're trying to figure out sort of like how much bang for the buck a particular watch is that you always look at what we consider the fit and finish. And the fit and finish is always going to be how clean just the particular details of a watch are. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that I would consider this Miyako a tool watch, and usually with tool watches, you're going to expect a fit and finish that maybe is a little bit rougher than on something that's a little bit more like entry-level luxury. In the case of these end links, just the edges on this kind of like middle link that blends into the first link of the bracelet, I have to say it's pretty bad because it almost feels like the groove for the shape has almost been hammered in, and I think that it's something that like really takes away from the design. So just cleaning up the end link grooves a little bit to give it a more uniform flow, I think would have gone a long way to making this feel just a little bit more high end. The other thing that's like a real disappointment about the bracelet, honestly, is just its adjustability aspect. And so this means that most people are not gonna be able to get a perfect fit out of it. I can tell you that that I removed 3 links, and the first time that I fit it, it felt pretty good. Like even right now, it feels pretty good, but halfway through the day, I was smoking a chicken for my family. We were doing a little bit of rotisserie, and I can tell you that, you know, I'm in Texas and it's hot and I started sweating and my wrist swelled up a little bit, and man, I could tell that the fit for me on this band, it just needs to be a little bit bigger. However, my only option is to just put an entire link back on, which is what I had before, and it was actually way too big. So I don't know, there doesn't seem like there's a lot of options there. The last thing I want to point out about this, and this is not necessarily a fit and finish thing because I feel like it's something that they did on purpose, is that this watch has like really robust thick spring bars. They're not like the spring bars that you usually see that have like little grooves on the plungers that you can use spring bar tools to kind of press and move. These are basically smooth, really thin plungers on the spring bars, which honestly I think that's a good thing because it makes the watch once again feel like a tool watch. It feels like it's going to be able to take a lot of pressure and a lot of strength, and those spring bars are really going to be able to take a beating. However, since they don't have those grooves and you can't use the spring bar tools, in order to take you know, your spring bars off, you are going to have to use the drill lugs to be able to push that plunger and then be able to pull the end link out, or basically just pull the spring bar out if you're wearing the NATO or something similar to that. Another thing that's interesting about that particular system is that the way in which you insert the end links is actually quite easy because they actually kind of undersize the end links. They're not fitted super well, they're actually kind of loose. The good side of that is that it's super easy to take off the end links and it's super easy to put the end links back on. It makes it a lot less likely that you'll basically scratch up your case. However, the downside of that is that if you look at it with any kind of magnification, you can actually see light leaking between the lugs and the end links. In this particular case, I feel like it's utilitarian. I feel like it's something that they did on purpose, but it is something that at the end of the day does kind of like affect the fit and finish of a particular watch. With that said, at the price range of $400, I think that the Helm Miyako is awesome watch. I'm super happy with it. However, there is one caveat to all of this, and that's that they only sell about 150 of these watches a month. So what that means is that there's like a huge waiting list. I joined the waiting list a few weeks ago, and when I joined the waiting list, I was actually like 2,500 in line, which by my calculations, it would have taken me about a year and 4 months to actually acquire a watch. And I have to admit that if I had to wait on a waiting list for a year and a half, I would have been really disappointed. Now, thankfully I didn't have to wait that long because a really good friend of mine, Eric Corona, he was like 100 in line, and so he gave me his code to actually be able to kind of cut in line and get mine. And because of that, I feel like I can appreciate the watch a little bit more. But I think the anticipation of waiting for a watch that you really want for a year and a half, it just really is gonna make you build an expectation that I don't think this watch is going to be able to meet for you. So this is what I would suggest to you. If you really love this watch and you just feel like you have to have it, get on the waiting list if that's the best thing you can do. They definitely have like draws where like sometimes they just pull people randomly from the waiting list and you might be able to purchase the watch ahead of your turn. But also basically join the Helm owners Facebook group where you might be able to find people that might not purchase their watch and might actually let you use their code, or potentially you might have somebody who did buy a Helm watch, has one on their position, but they want to sell it, they want to get rid of it, and they might be able to give it to you pretty much for what they paid. So as long as you can get the watch without having to wait a long time to get this watch, I think that the watch might actually meet your expectations. For those of you that are like me that love testing accuracy, I did put this guy on the time grapher. Over 6 positions, the average time loss on this watch over the 6 positions was about a little bit over 2 seconds a day. However, in practice, the watch is not running that well. Just since yesterday, this watch has gained 5 seconds on my wrist. And when we look at the numbers, it's tricky because I had one position that was negative 4 seconds a day, and then I had a position that was 7 seconds a day. So I'm not sure if me going in here, opening it up and trying to regulate it is really gonna allow me to get much better timing out of it. And I said it's mostly because of like that large large in between position difference of 11 seconds. So with that said, while I didn't find that the Miyona 9015 was the most accurate, it's still a pretty nice movement. I'm happy with it. I think that if you guys really like the design and kind of, you know, don't mind the fact that it's kind of an homage, then I think that you should go for it. If you guys enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. This is my first YouTube video, especially on the watch realm. So if you guys like the format, if you guys like what I'm doing, please let me know. Subscribing goes a long way because you guys are probably gonna be the first people to ever watch this content. So, you know, you guys are gonna basically be letting me know by subscribing or liking this if you guys want me to maybe make another video. But anyways, I really appreciate you guys watching, and, you know, hopefully I'll see you guys in another review down the road. Bye.